Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tensei Slime light novel summary series on AniMonolith. At this point, 500 demons from the Black Legion had arrived, clashing violently with the Chimera Knights. Though the Chimera side fielded around 400 soldiers with superior magicule reserves, they were being overwhelmed. The tide of battle had shifted, and the end of the Magic Beast Corps was near. Just then, to everyone's shock, Master Gadra reappeared. He had not perished after all, but instead returned even stronger than before. The truth was revealed. During the moment of his self-destruction, Gadra had activated his secret technique, reincarnation, preparing a path for his soul to continue on. Normally, this spell would send him into the cycle of rebirth, searching for a new body. However, Diablo had intervened. Back at the banquet, Diablo had promised Gadra that, if he proved his worth to Rimuru, he would be accepted as his disciple. At that moment, Diablo's temptation rewrote Gadra's reincarnation. If Gadra died for Rimuru's cause, he would be reborn as a demon. And so it came to pass. Granted a new physical body by Ciel, Gadra was reborn as a metal demon, his entire form now jet black and gleaming like polished steel. Not only that, but he had regained his youthful appearance, his long beard gone, his body restored to the prime of his life. Even more, he now wielded the ultimate gift, Grimoire, a book of sorcery containing Rimuru's collected magic. Opening the tome, Gadra unleashed a spell Rimuru had crafted from Benimaru's technique, Limited Hellflare. In an instant, the battlefield was engulfed in destructive flames, and Gazarin, the Black Tortoise general, was reduced to ashes. With that, the Magic Beast Corps suffered a crushing defeat. But on the battlefield, one survivor still remained, Vega, the man Yuki had planted within the Magic Beast Corps. Surrounded by corpses, he crouched down and devoured them one by one. Gladym and his warlords were reduced to nothing more than fuel. This was the terrifying power of Vega's unique skill, Evil Eater. By consuming the flesh of others, he could steal their strength and make it his own. Vega's very existence was a calamity. He was born from tragedy. His father, twisted beyond recognition by Monster Factor, lost his humanity and assaulted Vega's mother. From that union, Vega was conceived and born in only 3 days. A heretical child from the start, he was feared, hated, and even hunted by those around him. Abandoned by his mother, Vega survived for 10 years on scraps. Rats, corpses, anything he could find. He soon realized the more he ate, the stronger he became. This discovery drove him deeper into monstrosity, preying even on humans. Eventually, his crimes drew the attention of Shizu and Yuki. Shizu was sent to eliminate him, but Yuki saw potential. Instead of killing Vega, he tricked Shizu, spared his life, and entrusted him to Damrata, who molded Vega into the monstrous warrior he was now. And here, amidst the carnage, Vega evolved further. After devouring the 4 generals of the Magic Beast Corps, his body warped. His limbs became those of a beast. His flesh hardened into magisteel, and wings sprouted from his back. To make matters worse, he seized the Azure Dragon Spear, a mythical-grade weapon, and forcibly fused it into his body, using Gazarin's absorbed ability of metal manipulation. The battlefield had just gained a new calamity. Vega's hungry eyes locked onto Karyan and Frey, who had fallen into their evolutionary slumber. Drool dripped from his mouth as he staggered toward them, ready to claim his next feast. Gabil and the others noticed him, but they were already exhausted, their forces stretched thin. The atmosphere turned suffocating. This was no ordinary threat. Gadra, however, stepped forward. Recognizing Vega from the Empire, he tried to reassure everyone. "Don't worry, leave him to me." With a confident smile, Gadra approached and greeted him casually, but Vega had no patience. With a single punch, he sent Gadra flying, his body overwhelmed by Vega's sheer, monstrous power. Even as a newly reborn metal demon, Gadra was no match for this abomination. Shock rippled across the battlefield. Vega now stood as a predator beyond even an awakened demon lord. And with Karyan and Frey vulnerable before him, everyone knew, if Vega wasn't stopped here, he would only grow stronger. At that tense moment, Laplace suddenly appeared and snapped Vega back to reality with a brutal chokehold. The overwhelming force made Vega immediately cower in fear and obey. Though technically Yuki's subordinate, Vega had no true loyalty. He only followed those stronger than himself. Laplace clearly disliked him, but still pleaded with the others to spare Vega's life. After all, Vega was Yuki's pawn, and his death could only be decided by Yuki. Just then, Gadra regained consciousness. Calmly, he explained that during his brief unconsciousness, he had used his ultimate gifts abilities, thought acceleration and parallel computation to devise countermeasures against Vega. But with Laplace now in control, such preparations were no longer necessary. When Laplace vouched for Vega, assuring everyone that he would personally keep him in check, the others reluctantly accepted it. Vega's fear of Laplace made the claim believable enough, and so, against their better judgment, they allowed Vega to withdraw under Laplace's watch. It was at that moment that Suka rushed in with critical news. Rimuru-sama had defeated Velgrind, the Scorched Dragon, in battle. At the same time, the Demon Lord's executives had boarded the enemy's airship and were now engaging Rudra's elite guard in direct combat. The effect was immediate. Rimuru's forces roared with renewed morale, while chaos spread among the Empire's army. The Chimera Knights, already exhausted and leaderless, began to falter without command. In contrast, Gabil, Gadra, and the others lifted their spirits and prepared to charge once more, determined to push forward under the banner of their victorious master. After Ciel's spectacular display in Dworgen, the scene shifted back to Tempest. Rimuru's part in the battle momentarily quieted, leaving the stage to the 12 Guardian Lords and their subordinates. Aboard the Emperor's flagship, morale among the Imperial soldiers was at its peak. With Velgrind present, they were certain of victory. Just as Rudra had believed, the Empire assumed that with Veldora subdued, Tempest's defeat was inevitable. It was then that a graceful woman with flowing white hair stepped onto the deck, Testarossa, accompanied by Benimaru. Watching the soldiers boast of their coming triumph, Testarossa only felt weary disdain. Their blind arrogance was laughable but hardly amusing. Normally, she would have taken pleasure in toying with them, stirring terror before savoring their despair. But such indulgence would take too long and disrupt the raid's purpose. So instead, she acted swiftly. With a cold smile, she unleashed Deathstreak, the forbidden nuclear magic that destroys both body and soul. A jet-black sphere enveloped the airship, and within moments, nearly every soldier inside was annihilated in silence. Benimaru said nothing, merely acknowledging that mercy toward the Empire was no longer an option. Soon after, Ultima, Carrera, and the others arrived. The two Primordials scowled, complaining that Testarossa had stolen all of the fun for herself. But she brushed it off, reminding them that survivors remained, and those survivors would be the strongest of the enemy. Understanding her meaning, the group turned serious. At Benimaru's command, the true raid began. After Testarossa had wiped out most of the Imperial forces, Benimaru's group reached the bow of the flagship, where the Empire's highest-ranking figures were waiting. Emperor Rudra sat on the throne with Velgrind still asleep at his side. Behind him stood the four knights, while Kondu and Damrata guarded his flanks. Next to Kondu was Marco. Benimaru, speaking on Rimuru's behalf, boldly demanded unconditional surrender from Rudra in order to end the war. Naturally, Rudra refused without hesitation, declaring that his ambition would not end there. Benimaru coldly replied, "Then prepare yourself for hell." The air instantly grew tense, as though the final clash was about to begin. At that very moment, Velgrind awoke. She revealed that her split body had been sealed away by Rimuru's insulation prison, and that it would take her some time to break free. This revelation shocked Rudra. He had always regarded Rimuru as a threat, but never once imagined the Demon Lord could restrain even Velgrind. Kondu and Damrata were equally shaken. After all, Velgrind was the Empire's absolute power, a being who was not supposed to lose. The mood was the complete opposite on Rimuru's side. Shion, Sue, and the three demonesses brimmed with excitement, convinced that Rimuru would even manage to bring Veldora back. Their confidence eased the tension that had been filling the warship. Seeking to protect Rudra and gain control of the situation, Velgrind then activated the 8-gate formation, 8 portals leading to an alternate dimension she had created. The rules were simple. Each gate was guarded by one Imperial champion, and only the fighter who defeated the Guardian could advance to the next gate. Entering as a group was pointless, since only one victor could proceed. To escape this realm, all 8 gates had to be destroyed. The greatest obstacle, however, was that Velgrind herself stood guard over the final gate. In other words, they could not return without defeating her. This strategy wasn't just to prevent an all-out brawl, it protected Rudra while also trapping Rimuru's strongest subordinates. Benimaru understood her intentions clearly, but refusing would only force them into an even riskier direct battle against Velgrind. With no better choice, he accepted the challenge, setting the stage for the decisive showdown between the two sides. And that's where today's video ends. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next AniMonolith recap.